We are Mr. and Mrs. Adventure.
And today we're going to talk about how we afford to do...
That's right, VanLife Europe.
VanLife Europe. It's probably the #1 question we've been getting these days. How do you guys afford to live and travel and adventure how you do? So today we're going to attempt to answer that question.
We did it last year in the US, and this year we've been doing it full-fledged all across Europe. So differences with currencies, differences with prices, difference with lots of different...
Lifestyle, everything. If you haven't checked out our post on our website about how we lived on $1,000 a month in America while we traveled across in our camper, be sure to look in the Show More section right below this video. We'll have a link there for you to go see how we did that.
That's right. Great information there.
Yes. So as Drew was saying, VanLife Europe is a bit different. So we have this little note paper.
You kick it off today, babe.
All right. Trying to organize all of our thoughts on this because it's a pretty big topic to cover. I guess we want to start with an all-encompassing thought, maybe, that basically we're smart with our money. Yep. We know how much we have. We know how far we want it to go, which is what?
A long way.
Really far. And you know what? We make it happen. So where do we start with this?
So as Buckminster Fuller said, your wealth is how many days you can live forward on that. So with traveling is, if we can save dollars today, it means we can go farther and live longer on the road. And
that brings up a great point, our savings.
Yep.
We lived in LA for 4 years, worked our little tails off, yep, saved up as much as we could, lived a pretty simple but comfortable, amazing, enjoyable LA lifestyle.
Definitely cut corners. Instead of going out to eat, we'd go on picnics, or we'd ride our bikes to places at times. We would just do a lot of things to help save and cut down on costs. We didn't have TV. We just did all of our watching of things on the internet.
Netflix.
Yep. Try to live below our means a little bit and save as much as we could. And probably at the time we were saving, I don't know, anywhere from 30% to 50% of our income together, yep, so combined.
And so on top of that savings, I also freelance, right, while we're on the road. With limited Wi-Fi, I don't get to do that as much or as vigorously as I'd like to, but that is a small thing that I'm building up as we go.
That's right. Drew... I've been managing a business back in the Midwest, so every now and again I have to take a break from VanLife, fly back to the States and take care of business there. So yeah, it's been really interesting the way we're able to make things work and kind of always piece things together and step through the door when opportunity presents itself. We didn't know this when we left LA, and that things would work out this way. So.
Yep, and at the same time, we do have our blog, and last year while we were connected to the internet, being in America, we had Starbucks, everything everywhere, so we could work all the time, every rainy day. Like today was a rainy day. We've been in the van, writing, editing photos, talking about life, reading books. We aren't able to be connected, researching, writing, reaching out, marketing.
Our van is like a library from like the 1960s or 7. Just think no computers, no technology, nothing of that. We're back to pen, paper, thoughts.
Which is, it's honestly, it's a nice break. But with that being said, the blog, which last year did provide a significant, I guess, source of sponsorship as far as activities, restaurants, even some really cool gear that we love to share with you guys.
It gave us the ability to supplement a lot of the activities we did on the road and things we'd want to do when we got to different towns or cities, like rafting, bungee jumping, nights in a hotel, dinners, meals, things of that nature.
So those things were free, and I would still consider...
It also came at a price, though. You did have to do a lot of work in order to barter, do an exchange with the companies we worked with.
They probably got more of a deal than we did in the end of it.
But it was fun. When you're working and having fun, it isn't really work. So, yeah, that is the key.
It is. And it's going after like what you want to do and become in your life. You know, how do you want your story to go? You just start doing it even if the money doesn't come yet.
That's right.
It's a passion thing.
So the biggest takeaway from this, if you want to start getting on the road and get out there and do van life or just travel in general, really starts with saving. The decisions you make today determine tomorrow and how many days you can thus be on the road, because it wasn't about the jobs we had at the time, and opportunities have come along the way, but it was about what we saved up for and what we had to begin the whole journey.
Buy less and live more.
Right. So. And there's always great ways of doing things that cost less. It isn't necessarily that you have to sacrifice, just think smarter.
That's right. Just creative solutions, imagining the possibilities, and it doesn't always require a lot of money.
Right.
So the specifics for how we afford van life, how we afford to live the way we do. Let's start with going over what we spend in a normal week. Yeah?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. One thing we all need to do is eat. So we cook a lot in the van, meaning we buy a lot of our groceries at the market.
Probably, what would you say, 90% of our meals are in the van?
Yeah.
I can't even
95.
think the last time that we had a breakfast outside the van. Like, we're just always having
know if we
cereal,
ever
oatmeal,
have.
fruits,
I literally
eggs.
eat oatmeal with bananas,
Yeah.
some nuts, and honey every morning.
She does.
Every morning. And Drew generally likes a granola type of thing, or maybe Nutella on bread. It depends. He's a little
Something
more
hearty
versatile.
to kick the day off.
Yeah. So with that being said, groceries and our fruit stand expenses average about how much?
About $100 a week, I would say. Give or take, we're trying to like put all the numbers together, and sometimes it's a little more, sometimes it's less, depends on what country we're in.
And that's for the both
So,
of us.
Yeah. So roughly that would be $400 a month, maybe $500.
And that also depends if it's fig season, because then we're stopping at the fruit stands like every other day.
Yeah, we've probably eaten in the last like 6 weeks, probably a kilo of figs per week. That's 2.2 pounds of figs. And the fresh figs are going to be the most memorable piece of food I've ate this whole time. We both agree
miss
on
them.
this.
Yeah. Today I was like, I wish this was a fig. Next, we have diesel to fuel the Howlin' Yowler.
That's right.
27 miles per
Yeah,
gallon.
we're doing pretty good at that. The roads in Europe tend to be a lot more windy, like 2-lane roads. So it's definitely not as much highway driving. So we do pretty good as far as fuel consumption, and we have a manual shifting vehicle.
Yep. And so gas, how much would that be
Yeah.
about per week? Since
We fill up about twice per month. So somewhere, if we divided it out, $30 per week.
Because it costs about $55 for a full tank
Yeah.
dollars.
And when we're giving these numbers, we're also taking into account the differences of currencies and conversion, all of that. We're actually doing really lucky with having USD over here in Europe right now. The pound is definitely came way down, so the dollar is worth more. Same with the euro.
Yep. And the kuna.
That's right, the kuna. That is the Croatian currency, because we are in Croatia right now. We'll be here for about another 3 weeks.
Hakuna Matata.
Life is a wonderful thing.
Next, admissions fees
and parking. We end up having so many times where we try to do free street parking and such, but because we have British plates and we're a different part of the country or the world and different country, we can't really get away the same way we did last year with free parking all the time, riding our bikes. But when we can, we do. Otherwise, we have to pay a little bit, and sometimes that can be as much as 10 euros a day. It can be 5, it can be 3. It just depends where we're at, and that's always a variable.
So basically, we've been to a national park maybe
Once a week for the last 5 to 6 weeks.
but before that, we hadn't gone to any. So admissions fees for these parks tends to be about $13 per person, a rough
Sometimes
estimation.
15, sometimes 20. It just depends.
And
Bring your student ID if you have one.
yes, that is a big saver. We are students of life.
That's right.
And 2 days ago, we went to Plitvice Lakes National Park, and we didn't have to pay the $10 parking fee because we had parked at a campground where we were then able to ride our bikes from. It was actually butt kicking, but beautiful works too.
It was beautiful.
Okay.
If you want to hear Brittany yell, just put her on her bicycle and put her going up a steep slope.
Yeah, I'm good going down or flat, but uphill for a long time, I have little legs. They're little. Okay, so then we went over our weekly expenses. Like we said, groceries, diesel, admissions fees / parking. That tends to be normally the only thing we really buy each week. Then when we go to our monthly expenses, that list expands a bit.
Yep. We have propane because we're always cooking in the vehicle. That's about $1 per day or $30 per month. That lasts us one propane tank at this point. We've had such a crazy obstacles of getting regulators and tanks, but basically lasts us 5 weeks right now in the system we have.
Yep, which powers our
refrigerator,
stove, top burner,
the oven.
The oven.
That's right. I feel like I'm missing something, but
the water pump.
No,
it's a battery.
that's electric.
That's it. Yeah.
That's right.
Okay. So propane was 1. 2. Each month we average, I don't know, we said about 4 nights in a campground.
Yeah, we talked a lot about wild camping in our last vlog we did, but come to look at it, we do spend on average 1 day per week, but sometimes we don't really stay each week. It might be 3 3 nights back to back in a campsite, or sometimes 4 or 2. It just depends, but roughly about 4 nights in a campground at somewhere in the ballpark of 20 euros to 25 euros per night. But that also is great because we can restock on water, which we don't have to buy in the big 5-liter or 6-liter jugs at the gas station.
We can take a hot shower.
Yep. We can be clean.
Yes.
We always love that. Get rid of our trash, and we can charge the battery and plug into basically the electricity block at the campsite. And sometimes our battery gets really low and our lights get dim, and so we're slowly putting strain on those, even though we can charge them while the vehicle's running. But it definitely helps to juice things back up when we get our campsite in. So.
And we can spend a night cooking. Although I love cooking with candlelight, every once in a while it's nice to have like full power.
Yeah. And one thing we were talking about last night is that we haven't been able to have a wild campfire in like really all of Europe. Actually, Hector was our last bonfire we had even in VanLife, and they really restricted a lot. They just don't leave space for the bonfires. They don't allow them in parks. They don't allow fire rings in general.
Not even in campgrounds.
Yeah, so you need to have a propane cooker or grill or charcoal if you're going to be camping outside the vehicle. And then for ambience, what's our favorite thing?
Our Lucy light.
Our Lucy light, and you just talked about it, our candle. Our candle's awesome.
It's clutch.
We can stare at that for hours.
Yes, and it's amazing what heat comes off of one little flame.
That's right.
Okay, number 3, healthcare.
Yep.
Because we still need to take care of our health, and health insurance is important for travelers.
And who are we insured with for health insurance?
World Nomads.
That's right.
And for the both of us, that costs how much?
It's about $180 a month combined for both of us. So that insures us if we've been out trekking and fall and break a leg, or scuba diving, or just any miscellaneous mishaps. But luckily we haven't been able to file a claim or anything of that nature. So.
Next up, we have car insurance, which was a doozy to find someone who would insure foreigners.
If you're looking to figure out how to buy a camper in Europe and travel around, we have an awesome PDF file in our store that you can purchase, and we give all the insight tips to basically the ins and outs of navigating the policies and ropes for buying a camper van, and we talk about that in it.
So if you just go to mrandmrsadventure.com, click on shop in the menu bar, it's right now the first product up.
Basically, we're insured throughout the course of time that we're in Europe, and we have a full comprehensive policy. That way it covers theft, fire, third-party accidents.
Cool. Next up, phones. We have 0 phone bills.
Yeah. We wanted to make sure we kept our phone numbers when we left the U.S., so we ported those from our normal carrier to Google Voice. It was $20 one-time transaction fee. They're saved the numbers in Google, so if you call or text us, we get a voicemail or a text directly to our inbox in Gmail, and that's been a huge cost savings. Instead of paying $40, $50 a month to keep those numbers and use that service, back in the States, we're paying 0. So really, we only use Skype.
And
what's our bill run?
We use WhatsApp more than anything because it's awesome. You can text, send pictures, have a thread with your friends, call your parents if they have it. Skype, I don't know. I use it less than he does, but maybe $20 a month for the both of us.
Yeah.
Probably less. And then our miscellaneous would be souvenirs/gifts. And because we seek out nature and we're not trying to get in the middle of cities around people, we really could care less about the stores, to be quite honest. Like, that is not van life for us. We don't have that much room to store stuff anyway.
We definitely like walking into the souvenir stores and seeing out what's going on, but like, we just don't feel compelled that when we walk in, we know we have our wallets with us, but the dollars don't need to come out.
Unless there's something so creative where we're like, oh, that's good. Oh, they got us now.
Something unique.
Yes. So. Like, we did buy a painting by our favorite Croatian artist in Zadar a couple weeks ago.
We got a really cool pen in Mostar.
That's right.
What else have we found?
A really cool wooden handmade book holder, also from Bosnia.
We definitely tried some different delicacies and croissants or
bought some
cakes.
things for our parents to try that we could, have preserved, like sardines from France, bringing back for my dad.
Or fresh food cookies. Fig cookies. Food cookies.
Or fruit kiggies.
Yeah, kitties. Fruit kitties. That's a tongue twister.
Unless they're Haribos. Yes, we have brought Haribos too.
Or you got me the Orange Gina gummies.
That's right. But for souvenirs, since we're pretty simple on what we're seeking out, the really creative, artistic things that we're seeking are rare finds, we maybe spend about $50 a month.
Yeah, probably spread out over time.
Yeah, on average. One souvenir might cost 50, but then we don't buy anything for 2 months. And yeah, we just
We
keep
love
it
keeping
really
in touch
simple.
with what? Our postcards.
Yes, postcards are a great souvenir. They're harder to keep on top of than we ever thought they would be. We have a stack of about this thick that we need to write. But we're working on it. And it means a lot to people, so we'll send them soon.
Soon enough.
Yes. And so that's basically our monthly expenses. And other than that, there'd be unknowns, like
Border insurance, some of the different borders in Montenegro and Bosnia, it was unexpected because our insurance for the car wasn't covered there, so we had to
Yep.
buy it at the border.
car problems are another thing,
Yep.
like the clutch going out in the middle of Milan. Didn't know that.
Yep.
Paid.
Or having it replaced in London, tow
Yep.
truck, etc.
Yep,
Ferries,
exactly.
and those are basically to get to some of the islands in Croatia or from mainland England to Ireland or to the Hook of Holland from England.
And then there's flights, like Drew mentioned, he has to fly back to the States every 3 months or so to run his business, and that's...
We do a balance between the credit card, manufacturer points, and making sure we get those sign-up bonuses, etc.
And at the same time, then there's long-term parking.
Yep, so when we're away from the van, we went on a trip with Carpe Mundo back last month, and we left the car at Dubrovnik Airport.
Yep.
So different miscellaneous things that we kind of factor into what we're doing and just sometimes arise out of unplanned expectations.
And like we said, basically, we are smart with our money. Those are our expenses. It doesn't really exceed that unless we're splurging, which our splurging...
There's been a few of those.
Yeah, so
Let's not kid you.
We think a bit hard before we splurge,
Yes,
don't we?
absolutely.
Probably too hard.
Or for
sometimes.
things that we've really been looking forward to, like one of the
Yeah.
things was the Tour de Mont Blanc, and that was
Yes.
the 6-day traveling and walking and trekking all the way around the massive.
165 miles in
That's right.
6 days. Don't worry, we're going to have a post on that with a
Yep.
video. We documented the whole thing.
That's right.
But again, when we're back connected to Wi-Fi, we'll work
Yep.
on those things. For now, we're van life. But splurging, TMB,
Yeah.
hotel in Paris.
Yep.
One
We went
night.
to Paris for 2 days, 1 night, and just making those little things work. Places you can't take the van, but essentially want to get to. Those are
Yeah.
little splurges, and we have to think, okay, is it worth our time, our money to go and do this?
Yeah, and it was.
And like I said, it's always think about how you can be smart and make each dollar go further.
Well said. Another one was a restaurant in Dubrovnik,
Yeah.
which probably wasn't the best restaurant ever, but you know what? It got us into the city streets at night, which you could see the lights, you could see all the people around. We got a feel for how the, moon shone on the marble ground
really
and
cool.
the lights glistening on the ocean outside the city walls. It's about that, almost like what is splurging going to allow you to enjoy rather than being stuck like on the van, You also can't park in Dubrovnik. We would have been far removed. It's a lot of factors.
It's kind of like you pay for one thing, but indirectly get something else.
Yeah, so how does one decision benefit you in multiple ways?
Yeah. And we also kind of have a little bit of a philosophy that like there's certain moments where $10 will really make your life that much better. If you're kind of on the fence with it, just spend it because it really does make it that much better.
In the
We're not
long
saying to do
run.
this all the time, but many times we have kind of had this rule of play to help guide us along.
Because in the long run, is that $10 really going to matter? But in that moment, it will make your life so much better,
right.
then go for it. And the last splurging one that we'll point out was our 3 Caves tour.
That was really cool. That was in Hvar Island with our
Yeah.
buddy Skip. Basically went to Basevo, went to the Blue Cave. It was absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
It was a UNESCO World Heritage Site. They take you on a little paddle boat and just the reflection off the sea bottom bounces up this blue. It's like neon blue,
Amazing.
like way, her hat, the color of it, just like
But glowing.
amazing. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, in the Green Cave, it was a spotlight that had been formed above in the cave. Our huge, like, big boat went underneath in this cave, and it was a spotlight, and it was underwater. It was like the most incredible, like this green light and blue, and just wow.
You could swim in it.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool. But anyway, that was so worth it. It was a full day tour. We don't do that all the time. That was the only time we did that.
Yeah. And we didn't work through our blog for that either. It's just sometimes like
Yeah.
we need to take a break and enjoy some of the things that we're looking forward to experiencing. So yeah.
That's it. And I had written this out, so I want to read it to you. We have money, but that doesn't mean we have to spend it. Think of it as having the last box in the world of your favorite cookies. And until you figure out the recipe to bake those cookies, you're gonna have to learn how to savor them if you're gonna wanna have that joy last, you know? So don't eat all of your cookies at once. Savor them. And we might not have a lot of cookies, but we make them go a long way. Yeah. And we enjoy every single bite. So we hope you can too. I hope that helps.
So we hope you enjoyed today's vlog here in Croatia. We're looking forward to the many more days that we have here, the 3 weeks. And today's kind of a rainy one, but we're making the best of it, enjoying our time, each other, and what VanLife offers. And so if you want to see more about us and learn about our website, it's mrandmrsadventure.com.
And our Instagram, Mr. and Mrs. Adventure.
And our YouTube, the Mr. and Mrs. Adventure. And check us out.
Subscribe.
Subscribe now, and we will see you soon.
We have lots of fun videos and posts coming your way.
So, thanks for tuning in.
Bye.